Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pop Culture Reacts as we are working our way through the second Lovebites album and we are at track 9, penultimate track, We the United. Not We the
Yeah,
People like you went with earlier.
oh yeah, I was doing with the people. Any chance for a wrestling reference, you know me. I, I don't. We go into these tracks, and we always say this. We don't know anything about the tracks before we go into them, unless it's one that we've brought to the table. But going off of what we've heard so far, and just the title, I wonder whether this is. And I live in a world of movie trilogies, although the world of movie trilogies is dead now as well, because people tend to split the last movie into two and still claim it's a trilogy. But very, very much used to in sort of storytelling and creativity, that idea of a trilogy. And I wonder, just from the title, whether this is effectively a trilogy towards the end of the album. And I said about the more personal tracks. You've got the track about loss. You've got the track about what I think is a conflicted relationship. And I just wonder from that, is this going to be another personal track, but about grouping together with friends? And I'm guessing, like in this case, the band
Mm,
being the support for each other. Now, I'm saying all that pure speculation and guesswork. It might be a song
about
about, and I
football.
hate to say it, yeah, about Manchester United for all I know, or Leeds United, or whatever.
At
But
least get
yeah,
a good United.
is there
Harchester.
that the one from that Sky TV show?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember what's the show called.
Dream Team.
That was it. I quite like that, by the way. I was a bit of a fan of Dream Team, but it was in a bygone age where there was less TV to watch, so you tended to like more because you didn't have a bloody choice.
I actually have a Harchester shirt.
That doesn't shock me in the slightest. Any update on your and for those on the channel won't know this because it's all done offline. Any update on your Deportivo Wanker
It,
football kit?
it is in the country, it hasn't been delivered yet.
And when that does arrive, I doubt we're going to do like an unboxing or a fashion show, but I'm kind of hoping you will sport the shirt on at least one recording, then we can give it the love and attention that it deserves.
Of course I will. You know me.
Yeah.
But less about our upcoming project of football shirts of bygone eras and random teams.
It's not our fault. They're naming the song after a traditionally end point for a football team.
Exactly. Shall we become united?
Let's do this.
The silent door has been broken.
Well, that was a fitting return to the belter for me.
Yep, that was joyful and triumphant, and seems like a real good one too between this and Final Collision. It's like you've got that Final Collision being the "fuck you, I don't need you"
Yeah,
to this
yeah,
being "fuck you, I've got my mates."
yeah. And I sort of said beforehand about like, is this kind of the concluding part of the personal trilogy? Now, I think you're right. I think it does slide very, very nicely from a perspective, storytelling perspective, outside of that. But I felt that this one actually was less personal and more triumphant. It
Yeah,
was more of that broader to everyone. Like, come on, like it does what I love songs to do. It points out that humans are dicks,
yeah,
um, or can be dicks. Let's go with, but I
yeah,
like to go with humans are dicks. But we the united, we if we come together and think about things in a different way, treat people in a different way, we can kind of overcome this and make it a much better place, and yeah, much more kind of rallying than
yeah,
potentially I thought it was going to be. I mean, I guess spoilers for anyone who doesn't know the album, isn't it? Forward. The final song's called Epilogue, so I was thinking that would be our wrap up of the album, not only but maybe kind of some of these latter thoughts and processes. But no, I feel like this is it, isn't it? This is your
yeah,
yeah. As I go back to the triumphant rallying cry again of we can do better and we can be better, and yes, people will let you down along the way, and not everyone is on that same path as you. However, doesn't mean you have to be like them. We can all bring this together. We can do this together,
yeah, and
and that they'll be there for you while you do it. Like as a band, but like I guess speaking to each other's in the band and their family as people, that they will. This is where they want to be, so they'll be on this ride as well. So come along on this ride with us. Yeah,
yeah,
really, really strong stuff from a positive, powerful message standpoint.
yeah. It's and musically, again, like uh, the last one, again, very 80s in its sort of vibe there of that. Not so much the party song, but that sort of happy, joyful, sort of fun, big, big rock song. Um,
Big certainly is a word I'd use for it.
and
Big really does fit my
that,
description of it as well.
and it's like that verse, which is basically just a guitar solo, but taking the place of a whole verse, and that being a stuff that Van Halen would do or bands like that would do, that sort of a thing, and it just fits so well with this,
I,
and
I
it
when I was
doesn't feel
when
forced.
when that bit was happening, Chris, I'll be honest, I was literally sat here thinking, don't stop. I could stay in this for days.
Yeah,
Really, if you never actually come out of this and deliver any more lyrics or any change ups, I couldn't see an end point where I couldn't see where I'd want that to end. You've got the absolutely frenetic pacing with the drums, which obviously because it is a very fast piece of music, and I kept kind of hearing that in my left ear whilst listening to the guitars in my right ear, or having my brain tried to figure out how to do it.
yeah,
And I'm going, this is amazing because if you isolated either of these, I think you potentially say they're doing very, very different jobs and possibly counterintuitive jobs because the guitar is so beautifully melodically, but with pace going, bring the tension up, bring the tension up, bring the tension up. We're going somewhere, we're going somewhere, going somewhere. But all the while, the drums are staying very, very static, like very machine gun, dun 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 dun
yeah.
dun 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 dun. Smush them together, and it just works beautifully for
Yeah,
me. And
it
and,
gives
and
it that
even
more
though,
weight behind it.
yeah, and even though like for as I say, for a long period of time, um, the build was just building upon itself. It was. I don't think the pacing was even dramatically changing. It felt like every time there was a breath or a pause musically, you were potentially coming back to the same thing, but it still felt it was rising up and up and up and up and up. And again, in an inspirational story or a piece of music, I think that's what you want, don't you? If you're sort of trying to make people feel like there's a positive message here and we can be better, I think you want that music to make people feel like they're being drawn up or risen up. And
Yeah,
I don't think, in all honesty, I have the musical vocabulary to really do how excellent that part of it was justice, I think. But yeah, exceptional song for me. Real standout. And in an album of, let's be honest, we'll cover a bit more the whole album when we do the next vid. But in an album that I have enjoyed immensely so far, another real highlight track for me.
yeah. It's this definitely one of those. If you want to see this live, this stinks of a
Yes, yeah.
like being in the field because this stinks of festival, few beers deep, either late afternoon, early evening, sort of when the sun's sort of not at its fucking most ferocious, and just chanting along with it and just be like, yes,
I might actually, and of course there are other albums that we will get to after this. I think from what we've heard so far, I might even consider this as it's the last song of the night. Now, of course, we've got the last song of the album to come, but I think this would send me home really happy as an ending of a set, and send me home not only happy musically, but I don't know, buoyed by
yeah,
like a real good sense of well-being. You know, like as you're filing out in a crowd, and I tend to be half decent at filing out in a crowd because I understand crowds exist, etc., etc., etc. But quite often it turns into that grumpy, who's going to get to their car, or you've got to get to your train. I don't think I'd see so many people just because it's a strange thing, and it doesn't happen to everyone, obviously, but more often than not, I do see far too many people. It's like, right, the gig's over, let's move on with my life, and this
yeah,
feels like it wouldn't let people move on with their life. Like they
yeah,
couldn't just go straight back into the mundanity of getting from A to B. Yeah, I'd like to think that finding out of a gig after this, everyone would be in a much more positive mood, and people would have heard that human beings can be dicks. So don't be a dick as we go home.
yeah. Yeah, it's that thing of like, depend. I've been to many gigs where like you know what the last song's going to be. It's their big song, but it's not the one you want them to end with. You want something else, and it's just like, eh. Or you have that thing of like, oh, they were really good. They didn't play that one song that I wanted them to play.
Yeah.
Vibe that you get at the end of a show. But yeah, I think if you have this as an ender, and then you're just like, it doesn't matter that they didn't play those two songs that I wanted to hear. They played this. Fuck yeah.
And you said about like the live side of it. So certainly my days of doing many gigs are way behind me. I just don't fancy it anymore. Just don't go back to here. Like I'm still in the mind frame of human beings are dicks. So being around less of them is a lovely thing for me. But um, when this album comes out, and I think people are hearing it for the first time, I could. I am jumping ahead a bit again here, so apologies, but I can really see how people would go, I can't wait to see this album live
Yeah.
with one track to go. Right? And my last thing on live, and I'll do this, it's a public service announcement. One thing that does my bloody head in when you go to a gig is people who are leaving before it's ended drives me nuts. Or what drives me nuts even more is, you know, kind of when the band or solo, whoever it is coming out to do, I guess, their last
The
bit where
encore.
you go mad, even post encore, you know, like where you're supposed to show the appreciation of the artist and everything they've done, and you
Yeah.
see people in their droves at that point leaving. Don't do that. It's an absolute dick move. I know you've paid for a ticket, but they've just spent however long, normally hours, busting their ass to try and really put on a show for you. At least take, doesn't matter if you're stuck in a bloody traffic or you might have to get a train half hour later. Just spend the sodding time to actually give them the cheers and the applause that they deserve for performing for you. And if you do leave early, you really are a dick, and this song's singing about you.
there have been times when I've had to leave early because I've had to
Oh,
get
you're
back
one of
across
them.
London
You're one of them. Doesn't
to
matter.
get the
Shouldn't have got
last
a
train
ticket.
home.
Shouldn't have got a ticket. Should have got a hotel room.
You
Should have
know,
pre-planned it. Should have pre-planned it.
pre-planning is probably what I should have done instead of getting up to London and
How do
find out
I?
that the last tube is
Where's the button to
not
switch your
running.
camera off? I can't find it. unless the gig's rubbish. Don't get me wrong. I'll go back to if you have paid and you're not enjoying it, but go earlier. Don't go at that bit because that's an absolute dick move.
So, as always, like, subscribe, ring bells, and all that jazz.
In the
Down there,
comments, tell us if you're
comments.
someone who leaves a gig early, and so that I can go. You're a dick.
Be shamed by Senan.
Yeah, yeah.
And until next time, we come back
Oh, the
with
final song.
the epilogue. We'll
I
see
mean, I'll
you.
be gutted. I'll be gutted for this album to go, Chris. I'm going to be honest with you, but then also by the same token, it's quite often when we do the albums, we're gutted to see them go, and I am really looking forward to hearing how they end this album that we've really enjoyed.
Yes. So until next time, goodbye.